How's it going, everybody? Welcome into the live stream this morning. It is September 4th, 7 a.m. Pacific time. Let me know in the chat where you are tuning in from, what time it is, where you are. But either way, we are going to start learning Mandarin Chinese right now. So on the agenda this morning, we are going to read some real Chinese news that was published within the past 24 hours. A lot of new vocabulary words, some basic vocabulary, some pretty advanced vocabulary. So that's really good for levels HSK 1 through 6 and beyond, honestly. We are going to play some matching games. There'll be some extras. We're going to hang out. It's going to be a good time. All right, so let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from. Hello. We have some people here. We've got a poll down below. How's it going, Prince? How's it going, Scooby? Scooby saying I practice almost every day. Sometimes I miss my streak by an hour. That's good. We have a poll down below. How often do you practice Chinese? How often do you practice Chinese? Let me know in the chat. It's haven't started yet. Few times per month, few times per week, or every day. Gabriella, what's going on? What's going on, Scooby, Prince? Okay, so yeah, my name is Ken and Heppy. I'm the Chinese tones guy. I learned Mandarin Chinese as an adult, and it absolutely changed my life. Ended up acting in movies, landing big jobs in business, and so here we are. Let's do a little bit of a warm-up. Okay, so for those of you who are just joining, we'll do a little tonal warm-up. This, of course, is the almighty tones chart where we go over the 4 tones of Mandarin Chinese. The 4 tones of Mandarin Chinese are not rocket science, everybody. It's not rocket science. Let's see. Gabriella says, love your videos. Oh, thank you, Gabriella. I love your comment. Absolutely love your comment. Scooby says, how fast should one try getting through the modules? 1 module per day or in smaller jumps? Oh, Scooby. So Scooby's asking about the comprehensive Mandarin Chinese pronunciation course that I released, which is now available at thechinesedojo.com. There is a special offer going for a little bit. The price recently did go up by like $50. The launch offer is gone. There still is an offer though that's going to be there for a little bit of time, so I highly recommend checking that out. The courses are self-paced, Scooby, so at the beginning in Module 2, the lessons are a little bit easier, and Module 3 is huge. So the modules aren't all the same size. Module 3 has a ton of lessons. Module 2 is kind of warming you up, helping you understand the platform, helping you understand the basic fundamentals of the tones. So, every time you're in, you could do a lesson every day or every other day. I would definitely recommend, I think the optimal way through the program is a full lesson that's a video, quiz, and practice where you're submitting your audio recording. A video, practice, and submission once every other day at least. You don't want to do a bunch of lessons on a single day and then go a week without practicing. You want some kind of more regular, circadian rhythm to it. I hope that makes sense. Let me know in the chat if it doesn't, though. Okay, what's up, Torsao? Okay, so we are going to warm up here with the tones. So what you see, let me make sure this goes on top. Okay, so maybe this is easier to see. So here we have the 4 tones of Mandarin Chinese, everybody. And you'll see a little graph here that says high, medium, low. What we're talking about here is your normal speaking range. So medium is your normal speaking voice, okay? This is your normal speaking voice. For me, it's right here. For you, you might have a naturally higher voice or a naturally lower voice. Medium is whatever your normal speaking voice is, okay? High is on the higher end of your normal speaking range. So we're not stressing ourselves out to go into some kind of like opera style falsetto. We're not trying to do that, okay? And low is not really stressing out our voice to go super low. It's just toward the lower end of our normal speaking range. So we'll do a little tonal warm up. And Torsao says, hello, as a Chinese person, your tongue twisters are pretty cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Torsao. They're constructed in the form of wen yan wen, which is ancient Chinese poetry. Of course, you know that. We might have some viewers who don't know that. The tongue twisters are not meant to be practicing, everyday travel phrases. They're meant to be tonal differentiation exercises, right? So one of the big things that Chinese learners get wrong is they don't focus on tones and pronunciation as early as possible. So they jump into memorizing words, they jump into memorizing grammar and phrases before they actually fully understand the tones or the initials and finals. So what does that mean? That means they're memorizing all of these words completely incorrectly. And that does no favors for them later on when they're trying to speak Chinese, right? It becomes very difficult to understand Chinese learners who go about it that way. So what I really advocate is, and what professional linguists advocate, is understanding Mandarin tones and pronunciation as early as possible so that you have the true, real context for what you're learning, and therefore you are memorizing words and grammar and phrases accurately so you can fast track fluency and not have to go back and relearn later. Let's see. When I was a kid, I used to roller coasters to memorize Mandarin tones. What do you mean, Torso? Nina, what's going on? Okay, so let's practice the 4 tones with a little warm up here. If you're in a place where you can repeat after me, I would highly recommend it, all right? We're going to start with ta. Ta, 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 ta. Ta, 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 ta. So the first tone, high, flat, and unchanging. Ta, ta. Second tone is the rising tone, beginning at our normal speaking pitch and then steadily rising up to where the first tone kind of hangs out. Ta, ta. Then the third tone, starting a little below our normal speaking pitch, it falls and then rises above where it begins. All right? Ta, ta. Repeat after me. Ta. Very good. And then the fourth tone steadily falls. Ta. Ta. Very good. Ta. Ta. Let's do the 4 tones with, let's try a slightly more complicated syllable. All right, we'll do feng. Feng, 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 feng. Feng, 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 feng. Feng, 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 feng. Oh, that makes sense, Torso. That makes sense. Feng, 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 feng. We have a poll down below, by the way. How often do you practice Chinese? We've got haven't started yet, few times a month, few times a week, or every day. Let me know. I'm super curious. Feng, 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 feng. Let's try cycling the tones with mei. All right, we'll do the first tone, second tone, third tone, and the fourth tone. Mei, 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 mei. Mei, 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 mei. Sarah's asking in the chat, how do I say I'm so many years old, or I'm however many years old? There are a few different ways, but yeah, let's see. The most common one, right? So people might ask, 你今年几岁? 你今年几岁? How old are you this year? Or 你今年多大? Which is, if you directly translated it, is this year, how big are you? Which is basically asking how old are you? You would just say 我有, and then the number 岁. So 我有36岁, 我, or you could just say I'm 我36岁. So I number 岁. I number 岁. All right. Let's try the four tones with bei. Bei, 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 bei. Bei, 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 bei. Bei, 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 bei. Sounds like you're calling someone your bae. What's up, bae? Bae, 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 bae. Oh, I'm 30. Yeah, so I'm 36. 36. 36. 39 would be 39. 六 is 6. 6 is pronounced 六. And 9 is pronounced 九. Let's see. That's all right, Scooby. No worries. All right, so who is ready for some news? Type a 1 in the chat if we are ready to read some news. Type a 1 in the chat if we're ready to get into it, reading some real Chinese news. All right. We got some people who are saying we are ready. Okay. Let's do it. We're feeling good. We're feeling warmed up. Awesome. Okay, so here we go. Here's the news article we're going to read, everyone. All right, so by the end of this live, you are actually going to be able to read this. So I want you to check this out. I want you to first scan the news article, see if there are any characters you know at all. See if there's anything you know at all in here. Okay? I'm going to try to read some comments here. If Chinese had an alphabet, I don't even know how long it would be. Tens of thousands of characters long. Yeah, that's a funny point. Yeah, there is no alphabet in Mandarin Chinese. There's just tens of thousands of characters. And actually, there aren't that many unique sounds in the language. You know, we've got initials, finals, and tones, and there aren't that many of them. There's a little over 400 unique sounds in the language. That's it. And if you know how to pronounce each of those sounds, you can pronounce every single word of the tens of thousands of words in the language, because all the words are just building blocks of those syllables. Okay, so here we go. I am going to read the article you see above me on the screen. This was published yesterday in China on China Daily, ChinaDaily.com. The source is linked below at the bottom of that slide there. All right, so it's a real article. I'm going to read through this first. We're going to go over some vocabulary. So here we go. 纪念中国人民抗日战争暨世界反法西斯战争胜利80周年大会在京隆重举行. That, my friends, is the headline. That's the headline. We're reading Chinese news. We're cool today, y'all. We are reading Chinese news, so we are pretty cool today. Okay. 纪念中国人民抗日战争暨世界反法西斯战争胜利80周年大会在京隆重举行. That's the headline. Oh, Scooby's asking, is there a difference for using 日 or 天 for day? That's a great question. I'll get to that in a little bit, Scooby. All right. So that's the headline. Now, what does the main body of the article say? 9月3日. I'm going to read through this and I'm going to trace it for you. Okay? 9月3日纪念中国人民抗日战争暨世界反法西斯战争胜利80周年大会 在今天安门广场隆重举行。All right. 中共中央总书记、国家主席、中央军委主席习近平发表重要讲话。All right. 这是中共中央总书记、国家主席、中央军委主席习近平检阅受阅部队。All right. Shub says, keep it up, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So that is the article, everybody. That is the article. We are going to get into some vocabulary words. Yes, I think someone said, someone saw the word for memorial. We have some very common words that we have talked about before, like 中国. 中国 means China. 人民 means the people, right? So the people of China, 中国人民. Let's see, 国家 second tone, first tone. 国家 that means country. That means country. Yes, you heard. Yes, good job. You heard 习近平. 习近平. You did. That is Chairman or President Xi Jinping. Very good. You heard that. Good for you. All right, so let's go over some vocabulary. This is, by the way, is a photo that went along with that news article. This is a photo that goes along with the news article. All right. So, we have a few vocabulary words. Let's talk about these. We will talk about these. 纪念 could be a memorial. It could also mean to commemorate. 纪念. 2 fourth tones. So as I'm saying these vocabulary words, go ahead and repeat after me. Go ahead and repeat after me. 纪念 That means to commemorate. 纪念 2 fourth tones, 2 falling tones. 纪念 All right, and answer that poll down below. We've got 18 votes, but we have about 40, close to 40 people watching. Let me know, how often do you practice Chinese? Have you not started yet? Do you practice a few times a month, a few times per week, or every day? Let me know. Join that poll down below, y'all. Join that poll down below. All right. The next word. 世界 That means world. 世界 World. 2 fourth tones. 世界 World. 这个世界很大. This world is very big. 世界 All right. That's world. Here we go. We're just cruising through these. Now we have anniversary. 周年 Anniversary. 周年 Can you repeat after me? That's a first tone, second tone. 周年 So, 周 first tone, right? 周 is a word that's commonly used for week, like this week. But it also means cycle, okay? And 年 means year. So if you directly translate that, that would be cycle of a year, cycle year, or anniversary. That makes sense, right? That makes sense. I love it when it makes sense. Chinese actually makes so much sense, y'all. The grammar in Chinese, by the way, is it's so easy. I almost said maybe a bad word. It is so dang easy. The grammar in Chinese, so dang easy. Yes, especially counting. And by the way, in Chinese, you don't have to conjugate your verbs for like the different times, like past, present, future, and things like that. None of that. So anyway, conference. That's the next one. Conference. 大会. 大会. So 会 can mean a lot of things. 会 can mean to be able to do something. It can also mean a meeting. 会 can mean a meeting. So a big meeting is like a conference. 大 means big. 会 in this instance is meeting. So 大会 is like a conference. 大会. Scooby says, I wouldn't call it easy, just simpler than other languages. I like the qualification, Scooby. I have nothing here says, are most of those simplified? I know mostly only traditional. Yep, we are doing simplified Chinese. We're doing simplified mainland Chinese. 普通话. We got 26 votes down below, but we got 45 people watching. What are y'all doing? Not voting in the poll? I see you there. Come on, don't be shy. Join the poll. Let us know, how often are you practicing Chinese? Have you started yet? Have you not started yet? You doing a few days a month, few days a week, or every day? Let me know down below. Let me know down below. You should definitely learn 普通话 to communicate with people who live on the mainland. Absolutely. And to communicate with Chinese people who live all over the globe, right? Because most of them speak 普通话. Most of them speak Mandarin Chinese. All right. Now we have a phrase that's very, very common in articles, in news. 在京, 在京, which means in Beijing. In Beijing. So 在 means in or at. And Jing is short for Beijing. Short for Beijing. So at Jing is in Beijing. 在京. 在京. Rai says, restarted learning, but my teacher was from Taiwan, so now I have to learn mainland basically from zero. Rai, you're in the right place. Look, if you are here learning Mandarin Chinese, especially from zero, first of all, congratulations. You have found the right place. Really, honestly. Could not be a better place. All right, so to hold an event, 举行, 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 that's third tone, second tone. 举行. So the third tone, second tone is a combination that Westerners, including myself, at the beginning find a little difficult. It's a little difficult to make your tone fall and rise and then reset to rise again. 举行, 举行. I like this way of teaching. It's like a tutor, but for free. That's right, Torsal. That's right. And I do have members-only live streams, and I have a course, a program where I personally grade your audio submissions. And when you count the number of hours you get of lessons and practice and instances where I'm grading your work, it basically boils down to me being your private tutor for like $6 an hour. If that interests anybody, please go to thechinesedojo.com. The launch offer is gone already. The price went up like $50, but there is still a discount. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in learning Mandarin Chinese the right way and building a solid foundation of tones and pronunciation with me as your tutor, with me grading your actual work, okay, not AI and not one of those courses that asks you to pay money and just download a bunch of videos or PDF files and they just say, here, good luck, try to learn Chinese on your own, which, by the way, you could technically do that at a library, okay? If you're just trying to get PDF files and learn Chinese on your own, go to the library. If you want to pay for a program, you might as well get feedback from an expert, right? If that sounds good to you, go to thechinesedojo.com. All right. 举行, third tone, second tone. 举行, Sarah says, I'm absolutely at day one. I've always wanted to learn both Mandarin and Cantonese. I love that goal. It's a good goal. Okay, this is an interesting one. 抗日. 抗日. So what does the J mean here? Can you guess what the J means here? I made this an abbreviation here for my slide because I didn't want to be taken out of context here. All right, so 抗日. 抗日. This is a very specific term in Chinese that means the resistance of Japanese forces, especially with respect to World War II. Okay, so if we're talking about 抗日, we're talking about the Chinese anti-Japanese resistance during World War II. That entire concept is summarized and denoted by 2 syllables. 抗日. That's it. That is literally World War II Chinese anti-Japanese forces. 抗日. 抗日. Okay? And 战争. 战争. 战争 is war. 战争. Yeah, that's exactly right, Scooby. That's exactly right. 战争. 战争. 4th tone, 1st tone. So a falling tone on 战. 战 and 争. 战争. 战争. That means war. All right, that means war. So let's go back to the news headline. And we have almost 40 votes. How often do you practice Chinese? Let me know below. You haven't started yet? Few times a month, few times a week, or every day. So let's go back to this headline. We have 纪念, which means commemorate. 中国人民, the Chinese people. 抗日, World War II, anti-Japanese. 战争, war. 纪, 世界, world. 反法西斯, anti-fascist. War. 胜利, which means victory. We'll get to that in a second. 80周年, 80th anniversary. Remember, 80 or a 周年 means anniversary. 大会, conference. 在京, in Beijing. 隆重, 举行. And then we have to hold an event. All right, so a lot of the vocabulary words we just learned are in this title. The title, which means, by the way, in Beijing, right, the people of China held the grand ceremony commemorating the Chinese people's victory against the Japanese and the anti-fascist forces. And this conference was held in Beijing. All right, that's what this means. So 纪念中国人民抗日战争暨世界反法西斯战争胜利80周年大会在京隆重举行. So what does it mean? The headline is telling us that the grand ceremony commemorating the Chinese people's victories against Japan and anti-fascism was held in Beijing, the 80th anniversary commemorating. All right. Now, the article itself, or let's do more vocabulary words. Who's with me? Who is liking this? Are you able to now parse out from this headline? Are you able to see? Type yes in the chat. Give me a yes in the chat if when I read this headline now, you hear some of those vocabulary words. You hear some of the vocabulary words. 纪念中国人民抗日战争暨世界反法西斯战争胜利80周年大会在京隆重举行. Well, give yourselves a round of applause. if you're able to understand that headline now, pick out some of those vocabulary words, that's great. I'm going to release these poll results. So the poll was, how often do you practice Chinese? All right. The majority of people, let's see, not a majority, right? But the largest group hasn't started yet. If you were in the hasn't started yet group, can you type a me in the chat? Can you say me? 28% said a few times a week. Same amount of people said every day, right? So 56% of you are practicing either a few times a week or every day. 11% a few times per month. But 31% haven't started yet. 31% haven't started yet. Type a me in the chat if you are in the camp that hasn't started yet. Sarah says, I hear them, but I'll have to review hard since this is my first time really being able to sit down and learn. Nice. Well, Sarah, I would highly recommend doing this the right way, okay? If you go to the ChineseDojo.com, enter your name and email address, and check out the program, my system will send you an automatic email. There is a discount still active. If you have any questions about it at all, contact me at contact@thechinesedojo.com. Okay? What you're going to get there, it's I'm going to personally walk you through a program that I have curated for you over the past couple of years. All right, so you're going to get, there's a special offer. Go to thechinesedojo.com. Over 500 minutes of video lessons that aren't just videos, because it's really like follow along exercises. Then you have quizzes where you practice your listening and comprehension skills. You listen to native audio files from Chinese speakers and you practice your listening skills. Then you practice. You actually record your voice and send in your voice recordings, and I grade them. So it's basically like me being your private one-on-one tutor for like $6 an hour. Basically like $6 an hour. Okay. I am not Chinese. Zamir, I am not Chinese. I am American. I learned Mandarin Chinese as an adult. What's up, Soul? How's it going, Soul? Soul is in the program as well. Soul is doing fantastic, by the way. He's doing a fantastic job. And Scooby recently joined as well. So I'm so glad to see the members here taking advantage of the opportunity on the live stream as well. All right. More advanced vocabulary from the news article. We're now going to get into the meat of it, y'all. We're going to get into this meat of it. Okay. We're going to get into that section there. So some more advanced vocabulary. You guys, this word ji is a super formal way of saying and. You're not going to hear this in everyday speech almost ever. Probably never. You're going to see it in news articles, probably about the government. Sarah says, will do. I've been following you for a while. This is the very first time I've seen you in a live. Took the opportunity. Oh, thanks, Sarah. Well, thank you so much. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I learned as an adult. Torcel, why did I learn Chinese? I learned Chinese so that I could increase the probability that I would act in Chinese movies and TV shows. All right. Who wants to hear Kenan's personal China story? Me, not me. All right, let's see here. I'm going to start this poll. I can share that story if I get enough people saying me. Virginia says, Ni hao, this is useful. I speak Kid Chinese household vocabulary. If we get, if I get like, who knows, who wants to hear my personal Chinese story? If I get, let's say, 40 votes or something saying me, I will share with you why I learned Chinese, how old I was, why I learned Chinese, and how I went about it, and what happened in my life from it, okay? Okay, so, ji, fourth tone. G. G. Oh, wow. 17 people voted. And someone said, not me. But most people are saying, 95% is saying me already. All right. Wow. Okay. Anti-fascist. Fan means anti. 法西斯 is fascism. Kind of sounds similar, right? It's kind of like a loan word. 法西斯 means fascism. And 反 means anti or anti or the opposite. So 反法西斯 is anti-fascist, okay? That is an interesting vocabulary word you'll see in the article. Then we have 胜利胜利胜利胜利 it means victory. 胜利 2 fourth tones. 胜利 victory. Torsao says Mandarin is useful in Korea since they also learn it. Torsao, Mandarin is useful worldwide. Worldwide. I've had so many amazing things happen in my life around the world because I spoke Mandarin Chinese. It has absolutely unlocked so many doors that I didn't even know existed. That's what Mandarin Chinese does. Mandarin Chinese is a skill magnifier. It is an opportunity unlock. Seriously. You don't realize how big the game board of life is. You know, when we're just growing up, when we're in our small town or wherever we are, we think the world is, well, first you think the world is just your room and your house, right? Then you think the world is your elementary school, and you care a lot about what all the little kids say, right? You care about gossip in middle school, and that's your whole world. And slowly you grow up, and however, some people don't work past their own state, province or country. Mandarin Chinese unlocks the world. It's really like a world unlock. All right. We got 30 votes. I will share my personal Chinese story if we get over 40 people voting to hear it to hear it. All right. 胜利, 2 fourth tones means victory. Okay. Now we have grand. 隆重隆重隆重隆重. That means grand. 隆重. Then we have the CPC. This is important. You're going to see that in a lot of official writings. 中共中央中共中央 CPC, right? The Chinese Communist Party. Or you can call it the Central Party. But that's what it is. 中共中央中共中央. That's the official way to say the CPC. 中共中央中共中央. Brandy says, I've been watching a lot of C-dramas, and rows in China have been picked up phrases that my brain automatically translates. I love learning. It's a beautiful tonal language. Brandy, I completely agree. The tones are it's like music. Learning long phrases or even short phrases in Chinese, it's kind of like music. Torso says it's quite cool considering most people consider it the hardest language. That's what's hilarious about Mandarin Chinese is it doesn't actually have to be the hardest language. I want to share with you why it's not the hardest. Here's some room for a little graph. All right, so here's us, okay? Wait a second. Here's a person. Okay, here's a person considering learning Chinese. And then we have like a graph of difficulty learning Chinese. Here's a graph. Difficulty, Chinese, difficulty. Okay? Here's why if you learn Mandarin Chinese, or even just a little bit of Mandarin Chinese, you are going to be much, much more ahead than most people, okay? 2 concepts. One is the concept of 0 to 1, or 100%. Okay? That's I could draw that a little better. The first concept is 0% to 100%. The 0 to 100% fallacy of Mandarin Chinese, okay? I don't know why our brains work this way, but human brains, we're kind of simple. We think in binary terms sometimes. We think in black and white sometimes, okay? And when we think about languages, for some reason, our mind kind of defaults. And I had to spend a lot of time thinking about this. When I say this, it's going to sound so obvious, but it's not so obvious when you think about it initially, because our minds aren't wired this way. When we think about Chinese or any language initially, we kind of think in terms of we either know it completely or we don't know it at all. Like where we're starting, we start at 0 and we think, oh, I don't know Chinese, meaning I'm not fluent in Chinese. So we think in either, it's like I either know it completely or I don't know it at all. That's not true. That's not true. By the way, most Westerners, most people who don't grow up in China know 0% Chinese. Which means if you get to about here, okay, which is like 3 or 4% to fluency, you know so much more than most people. You know so much more than most people. And that already sets you apart. If you get to there, right? If you can introduce yourself a little bit and be understood clearly, right? If you can introduce yourself and speak a few phrases, but you speak them clearly, you will already differentiate yourself in the workplace and in life. And native Chinese speakers will already pick up the fact that if you got here, you respect the language, you care about it, they're going to think you're cool, and doors will already start to open up. Doors will already start to open up. And so that's the first concept. And a lot of people see tones at the beginning. They see tones at the beginning and they see like a wall of difficulty. You see this wall and you think, oh no, there's no way I'm going to get over that hump. It's just too difficult. The problem is you don't see what's over here. What's over here is just everyone having fun. It's like that person's neck is not connected to their body. What I'm trying to get at here is the initial wall of like tones and pronunciation seems like an impossible wall. And from the vantage point of someone just learning, it looks like some impossible thing that you're never going to be able to learn. But once you learn tones and pronunciation, you're like, oh, now every single word in the language is just a combination of some of these few unique sounds, and the grammar's actually pretty easy. Wow, that's actually not that bad. But most people don't know that. So that's kind of the hack, is if you learn tones and pronunciation at the beginning and learn the right way, you'll get over that initial wall. Everything else becomes pretty dang easy. And most other people don't know that. And so the third concept, right, is why this can change your life. Perceived difficulty versus actual difficulty. Okay, so in life, you guys, Mandarin Chinese has a very high perceived difficulty. People look at it and go, wow, that's crazy, that's nuts. The actual difficulty is not that bad. That right there is your window of opportunity, baby. That's your window of opportunity. Because it's not as difficult as everyone thinks, which means if you just choose to do it, if you gain that skill, everyone's going to look at you and think, oh my gosh, you are up here. You are a genius. You're like Galileo. You're like Einstein. How did you do that? You don't have to tell them you're chilling down here. You do not have to tell them. You are just chilling down here. But everyone's going to look at you like you are a genius. You cracked the code. You're Neo from the Matrix. How did you do it? Right? Employers are going to be like, oh my gosh, I want to take my business to China. This person knows Chinese. I need to hire that person. Right? That delta, the perceived difficulty versus actual difficulty, that's a window of opportunity, which can do wonders for you in life. Okay, wow. 56 votes, 90% want to hear my Chinese story. All right. That means I'm going to do that. But let's get through this list here. We have 主席, which means president of the state or chairman. 主席. Third tone, second tone. 主席. Old says, 你好 to y'all. Old Bay says, it's difficult. Soul says, honestly, grammar's easily my favorite part of Mandarin. Yes, grammar in Chinese is super easy. Piano Guy, what's up? Piano Guy says, he loves my videos. Piano Guy, I love your comments. I also love the piano. I love the piano. Someone says, 你说广东话吗? 不说，我说普通话. Let's see. My Simple Alex says, I always believed that Chinese is easy, but everyone always told me otherwise. I never understood what they're talking about. Where can you start when learning Mandarin? You want to start by learning Mandarin Chinese the right way. Tones and pronunciation. Lock in your tones and pronunciation. And to do that, the best way to do that is to go to thechinesedojo.com. Thechinesedojo.com. Don't miss the special offer that's there this week. All right, chinesedojo.com. All right, and the last word on this particular list, we have a name, Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping, which you can probably guess, right, is the president of China, the leader of China, the chairman of China, Xi Jinping. Chairman Xi. Xi Jinping. That is how you say his name. Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping. Boone says, I have an exam soon. What should I study? What's going to be on the exam? I couldn't understand my old tutor. She was speaking so fast. Oh no, she speaks too quickly. You got to ask her to slow down or get a new tutor. Let's see. Okay. So we had 66 votes, 88%. 88% said they want to hear my personal Chinese story. Wow. 10% would be 6.6, right? So that's close to like 56 people. That's like 56 people, 56 or 57 people. Yeah, Soul says it's not a bad idea to study the exam material if you have an exam. I agree. Okay, I'll really quickly try to summarize my Chinese story. How old I was when I learned Chinese, why I learned Chinese, and what happened by learning Chinese. Me learning Chinese, the most crazy thing actually happened. All right, so I really want to quickly, me learning Chinese, by the way, all my dreams came true. So I'm going to tell you an insane personal story that led to some of the photos you see here. Okay? Real quick, when I was 13 years old, I saw the movie Hero. Okay, Hero with Jet Li. Jet Li acts in that film. It's an awesome film. I highly recommend that movie for anyone who wants to watch an amazing Chinese movie. Watch Hero. Okay, I was 13 years old. I saw it. The cinematography is just incredible. The martial arts is amazing. And the way that Zhang Yimou, the director, uses color in the film is just incredible. Anyway, I was 13. I saw Hero. And I decided I really wanted to go to China one day. I had the feeling that I had to go to China when I watched Hero. But I was 13. So what did I know? All right. So that was 13. I watched Hero. Then I was in college. So I went to college when I was 18. I was about 20 years old. I was a chemistry major in college. And I had the chance to go on a trip to China, an engineering trip with the National Scholar Society, National Honor Society. Let's see, All Under Heaven, iconic film. Yeah. Oh, thanks so much, Old Bay. I'd love to see you in the dojo. Love to see you in the dojo. So I was studying chemistry. I had the opportunity to go to China, right? And I was like, oh man, remember when I was 13, I watched Hero, and I always wanted to go to China. So I took the trip with this educational group to China. And when I was there, I just absolutely fell in love with everything I saw and heard. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to learn Chinese. I was in China for this 2-week trip. I was like, I have to learn Chinese. So I came back to school and started learning. Back to school, took Chinese, right? Took Mandarin 101. I took a 101 class. But then my chemistry work started to get really advanced. And I was like, what am I doing learning Chinese? I'm a chemistry major. I want to be an actor. Chinese, it's too much for me, so I gave up. So I graduated college. I'm 22. Graduated college, moved to LA. I became an actor in LA, and I was supporting my career by tutoring chemistry and math and physics on the side. Okay, then when I'm 25, I had the chance to audition for a movie that they were looking for someone who was a young Western male actor who spoke Chinese. And I was like, hey, a few years ago, I took a 101 class. I remembered like a few phrases. I could say 你好 and, 你会说中文吗? That was enough to book the role. I booked the role with the most basic Chinese because, again, remember, almost no one else spoke Chinese. There are so few actors in the West who are professional actors who speak Chinese. So me knowing a few words was enough to book the role. The director told me, he was like, Kenan, I looked around the entire country. I searched all around the country for 3 months. I could not find a single Western actor who spoke enough Mandarin for this role. That's why I booked you. And that's what told me that's what made me realize Chinese could set me apart. If I learned Mandarin Chinese, if I finally took it seriously, this was like the final universal sign for me that I needed to learn Chinese. If I took it seriously and stacked it on top of my acting skills, then movies that required a Western actor who spoke Mandarin, they would statistically, mathematically, they would have to consider me. They would have to consider me because there's just no one else. There are actually fewer than 20 Western professional actors who are fluent in Mandarin in the entire world. So with that, I moved to China. I started studying tones and pronunciation every single day. I worked at it for hours every day for about 6 months, and lo and behold, I started to become famous on Chinese social media. I started snagging huge roles in Chinese movies and TV shows. On the Chinese TikTok, I grew millions of followers within a couple years. I started to get invited to play leading roles in movies and TV shows. And wouldn't you know it, the pandemic happened and all this stuff happened. And then when I was about 30 years old, or 31 or something, whatever, I'm not doing the math right now, but the last movie I filmed in China, guess who was the director? Guess who directed, you guys? The hair is going to stand up. If you have hair on your arms, it's going to stand up. You might not have hair on your arms, but if you do, it's going to stand up. Guess who was the director of the movie the last movie I acted in China? Zhang Yimou. The director, last movie in China, the same director who directed Hero. The same director who directed Hero, you guys. I acted in a Zhang Yimou film. The film is called Snipers. I was in a Zhang Yimou movie. I don't have a screenshot of that here. Isn't that insane? Isn't that insane? When I was 13, I watched Hero, and I had this gut feeling I needed to go to China for some reason. And years went by, and I was just like, whatever, right? And then I dipped into Chinese, but then I gave up again. I was like, whatever. I finally listened to that urge and took it seriously. And it eventually led to me acting in a Zhang Yimou movie. You guys, all my dreams came true. That was such, yes. Thank you so much. The chat's going crazy. People are saying they didn't know. It is incredible. It's wild. Full circle destiny moment. You guys, this is me on, I'm one of the only actors in China to be on legit movie posters. This is me in the original Chinese Three-Body Problem, the biggest sci-fi IP in China. You guys, Mandarin Chinese can absolutely change your life if you take it seriously. I call it a skill magnifier. So you want to have some other skill or trade or profession, right? Unless it's your goal and your dream to study linguistics and teach Chinese, then by all means, you could just learn Chinese. But if you have some other skill, like mine was professional acting, I stacked Mandarin Chinese on top of it, brought that skill to the Chinese market, and absolutely exploded my potential. If you work in medicine or healthcare or law or engineering, programming, real estate, whatever it is, if you stack Mandarin Chinese on top of that skill, I believe a similar set of amazing stories can happen to you. Oh, Brandy, make sure you watch the original Chinese version. It's on Amazon Prime. All right, the original Chinese version, which I say is the best one. Netflix did a remake, and the Netflix version of the Three-Body Problem is a little bit like Spark Notes. They kind of just rush you through the whole story. You want to watch the original Chinese version. Scoovy's saying, do you still get acting gigs today? I do. I actually was just flown to Tampa, Florida to MC a celebrity cooking show at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino for VIP guests from Vietnam, China, Korea, and the US. They chose me because I'm a professional performer and I speak Mandarin Chinese, and they wanted me to be able to interact with the VIP guests in Chinese. And I still audition for commercials and films, absolutely. Oh yeah, Brandy says, I watched both. I like the Prime version way better. Let's go. Let's go. All right, Sarah says, I'll check it out. This made me tear up. You actually inspired me to finally work on taking my first... yes. Sarah, yes. And if anyone wants me to be their guide in this process, please check out thechinesedojo.com. I spent nearly 2 years building this platform. The feedback has been incredible. I actually grade your pronunciation, and I help you achieve native level pronunciation with every single sound in the language. Scooby said, sorry, lads, I gotta go. No worries, Scooby. We will see you soon, Scooby. All right. So we covered some advanced vocabulary there. We also have Junwei, which is Central Military Commission. We have 讲话, which is a speech. 讲话, speech. 讲话, speech. We have someone saying, I'm Korean. What's going on? I really want to visit South Korea. I actually want to visit the DMZ as well and look over the fence. Let's see. So I'm Korean, so I can read some kanji of Japanese and Chinese. Actually, classical Chinese is much easier for Koreans, at least for me. That makes sense. 讲话 is speech. Then we have 检阅. 检阅, which means to inspect. Then we have 受阅部队, which means troops under review, which will make more sense when we look at the picture. All right. Esther says, I absolutely love your accent in Chinese. Oh, thank you so much. Boone says, my exams have tones and easy and a lot. A lot, Kenan, please help. Boone, are you in the Chinese dojo yet? Are you in the dojo? Have you joined? Because if you joined, I can help you there. If you join, I'm going to definitely help you there. I personally help everyone in the Chinese dojo. Personally help everyone there. All right. Here we go. Back to the article. Virginia says Korean has a neat written language. I'm pretty sure. Yes, absolutely. Bob says, how do you say I had school today? I had school today. Well, you could say 我今天上课了. I had class today. 我今天 I today 上课了. 上课 is like to have class. Okay, so here we go. We're going to read the next bit of the article and try to identify some of the vocabulary words. So now we're going to be super, super cool and read Chinese news. All right, 9月3日. That's September 3rd. All right. 纪念中国人民抗日战争暨世界反法西斯战争胜利80周年大会在北京天安门广场隆重举行. All right, so what did that mean again? This, of course, meant that on September 3rd, right, the people of China, the grand ceremony celebrating, commemorating the 80th anniversary of the Chinese people's victory against Japanese aggressive forces and fascism was held in Beijing, Tiananmen Square, and that's what happened. And then we have 中共中央总书记, CPC. Do you remember what these are? Do you remember what these are? 中共中央 is CPC. 总书记. Remember that vocabulary word? General Secretary. General Secretary. Try to parse out these. Darko says, please, how do I learn Chinese from scratch? Go to the ChineseDojo.com. Let's see. Virginia says, Kenan has a crisp accent. You can't be too clear with tone and pronunciation. It never sounds weird. Virginia, thanks so much. Thank you, Virginia. That means a lot. That means a lot. All right. We learned some easy poetry. Okay, so 中共中央总书记, the CPC General Secretary, the President of the State, 国家主席, 中央军委, okay, the Central Military Commission Commander, Xi Jinping, right? President Xi 发表重要讲话, gave an important speech. Okay, so President Xi Jinping, the CPC General Secretary, the Chairman of the State, the Chairman of the Central Military Commission, Xi Jinping, gave an important speech. We just covered all that vocabulary, guys. That's really advanced vocabulary. That's really advanced vocabulary. Reese is asking a question. Is Chinese Dojo free to use? Well, not exactly. These live streams are free. The way the Chinese Dojo works is it works out to $5 or $6 an hour for me to be your personal one-on-one tutor. Okay, after a couple years of extreme meticulous work, this is the best way I was able to do it. Right? So you get about 550 minutes, about 10 hours of video. You get 10 to 15 hours of quizzes and tests, 15 to 30 hours of practice where you record your voice and I listen to your recordings and I give you personal feedback, right? I guide you through the entire way of reaching native level pronunciation for every sound in Mandarin Chinese. Unfortunately, that is not free, but it is incredibly affordable for what you get. Absolutely incredibly affordable. You cannot beat that price anywhere else. The value is just insane. The value is insane. Let's see. Yeah, Seoul. Yeah. CPC, CCP, absolutely. Yeah, I see both of those a lot as well. Mito says, how old were you when you started learning Mandarin Chinese? What level you think is enough for a student to start watching movies? HSK 6 or what? I was in my 20s when I started learning. So I learned as an adult from zero. Other people can absolutely do it. If I did, you can too. What level? You can start watching movies. The HSK system, and this is something I want to clear up, everybody. HSK, right? HSK is mostly reading comprehension, some listening, no speaking. So you can actually get to HSK 6 and your spoken Chinese can be absolutely terrible. You can butcher every tone and get to HSK 6. And I have seen that happen, and I don't want that to happen to you. And you can kind of butcher your way through the HSK system with somewhat meh listening skills. You can't get through the HSK system with your reading vocabulary and reading comprehension being bad, right? So if you've got to HSK, if you've gotten to a high HSK level, your reading comprehension and your reading vocabulary is definitely very good. But that doesn't mean you're going to be able to hold a conversation, be understood when you speak, or understand things that you hear. All right, so that's very important. You want to make sure you master tones and pronunciation as early as possible, because then everything else is going to make much more sense. You're going to learn new words faster, retain them longer. You'll be able to watch Chinese shows and actually follow along. And when you're watching Chinese shows, let's say you go through my program and you master tones and pronunciation. You're a beginner with Chinese. You watch a show. There's a bunch of words you don't understand, but guess what? You'll know what you heard. You're going to hear these sounds and you're actually going to be like, oh, I don't know what that word is. I know he said chang chang or chang chang. I know he said chang chang. You'll know how to spell it out in pinyin. You'll know which tones you heard, so you'll know how to look it up. That's the important thing. That's why you want to master tones and pronunciation as early as possible. Because then when you hear words you don't know, you'll actually know what you heard and you'll be able to look it up. You guys, the amount of time you save in that process compounds every single minute of every day. And you end up saving years of time. I know people who've literally lived in China for more than 10 years. By the way, just living in China doesn't mean your Chinese is going to be very good. I think we all know people in our own country who speak terrible English because they moved here and they mostly just speak their native language in their community. Moving to China is good for your Chinese if you use it correctly. Some people move to China and stick in their expat community. I know some people who move to China and they stick in their English-speaking community. They've been there 15 years. Their Chinese is terrible. All right, their Chinese is terrible. My Chinese blew their Chinese out of the water within a year with me just actually working on tones and pronunciation and working hard at the language, okay? Does that make sense, everybody? Type a 1 in the chat if like what I'm saying is resonating and making sense. Type a 1 in the chat if what I'm saying is resonating and making sense. Awesome. Great. We have someone saying, Icons World saying, I'm about to go to China for university. Will I just naturally learn the language by daily life, communicating with Chinese people? That's a loaded question, Icons World. You're asking, will you just naturally learn? No, you will not naturally learn a second language. However, if the second part of your sentence is true, if you communicate with Chinese people in your daily life, you will more naturally and more quickly learn the language. However, I highly recommend that you go through a structured program to learn the basics first. Unless you're paying someone to do it, like Chinese friends and Chinese people, they don't have the time to help coach you through tones and pronunciation and all that. It takes a lot of work, right? Go through a structured program, get your tones and pronunciation, get a strong foundation, learn some basic vocabulary words, and then your daily communication with Chinese people is going to be much more frictionless. And they're going to be much more willing to help you and want to work with you and chat with you. All right. Mito says, that's a great point that you mentioned, that even if you don't know the word, you'll be able to hear the words and distinguish them. Yes. That's the point. That's the thing people don't think about, right? When you don't have context for the sounds and you hear a word you don't know, how the hey are you going to look it up? How are you supposed to look it up? You don't even know what you heard. When you're like, oh, he said, you wouldn't even be able to, if he said chi pao, like you wouldn't even know what that is. You're like, chi pao, what was that? Kai pao, chi pao, like you wouldn't know what it was. You wouldn't know how to look it up. Yeah. If what I'm saying makes sense to you and you're interested in learning and starting, please, 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 there is no better program out there. I know, because I conquered this journey myself. This is how I did it. No other program does it this way. I had to build this myself. No other program like this exists. Go to thechinesedojo.com to learn more. And if you have any questions about it, you should DM me on Instagram, which is my name, Ken and Heppy, or email me at contact@thechinesedojo.com. All right? Go ahead and email me there if you have any questions about it at all. All right, so we just learned a lot of vocabulary. We read this article. And then, the last sentence here is referencing the photo. So the last sentence is referencing the photo. This photo right here. Beak says, the name dojo sounds weird and cool for me because the term dojo is used for like taekwondo or sports related. Yeah. So it's interesting, right? The word dojo, right, comes from the Japanese language, of course. But dojo is the English word for that meaning, right? Which is a place to go and train and to better yourself, right? The name of the school is the Chinese Dojo. If I said it in Chinese, it would be 中文道场, right? But I don't want to say the Chinese Dao Chang because no one knows what that is. And so the English name is the Chinese Dojo. But it is kind of like martial arts, right? Martial arts, what is it? It's the daily practice of fundamentals, of bettering ourselves, of certain habits that will protect us and make our lives more fruitful and allow us to go forth in the world with more strength. That's the Chinese Dojo. So in the Chinese Dojo, we are optimistic, positive, language warriors, right? We believe in doing things the right way, methodically, properly, the right way, right? Not applications that have you getting short-term dopamine spikes by looking at singular flashcards, and you learn one word and all these explosions of fireworks happen on your iPad, and it tells your brain you're doing something good, but you're not actually learning anything. That's not what this is. That's not how you do something. So yeah, the Chinese dojo is where we do things methodically, the right way, where we understand that learning a language is a lifelong journey, kind of like martial arts as well. Again, it's not you know it or you don't. It's not you go here and reach 100%. No one ever reaches 100% fluency of a language. There are words in English I don't know, right? So no one ever gets maximal knowledge, but we shoot for it. We move toward it in the right way. Soul said that was easily the biggest benefit to me with the course as a beginner. Even though I didn't exactly struggle previously, there was still a noticeable bump in the ease of recognizing syllables. Nice. Nice. Soul saw the shade. Kennan's got to bring out the sunglasses because he just threw out some shade. Now, I'm not going to, didn't want to call out any specific thing by name, but I can discuss methods, right, that I believe are proper, right? And what I know is when you work with me, you're going to be doing things the right way. I believe in doing things the right way. Okay, so this sentence, 这是中共中央总书记、国家主席、中央军委主席习近平检阅受阅部队. So this is the CPC General Secretary, the National Chairman, the Chairman of the Central Military Commission, Xi Jinping, inspecting the troops for review. That's what that means. And that's the photo. So there we see President Xi Jinping being driven past during this military parade, and he's doing a formal inspection of the troops. And the troops are being reviewed. Soul, thanks. Soul, awesome. Let's see. Yeah, so if that interests anybody, please, I would highly, highly, highly recommend, again, going to the Chinese dojo. It basically works out to me being your personal coach for like $6 an hour. Okay, let's do a quick matching game. Right? I did a big, pre-launch. I was talking a lot about the program, so I don't want to talk about that too much, right? Because I believe that the people who are interested will find it, right? They'll find me. They'll find the program. They'll find us, Soul. Okay. We're going to do some matching here. We are going to do some matching. So get your fingers ready. Get your fingers ready to type in the poll. I'm typing in Chinese and Pinyin here all at the same time. So now we're going to do a little matching game. You have to choose the right answer. Oh, Steffi says bye-bye. Bye, Steph. Thanks, Steph. So you have to choose the right answer. I want you to vote in the poll. Cast your votes. Cast your votes. We have Tianbi. Tianbi. Which one is that? Is Tianbi. So Tianbi is first tone, third tone. Tianbi, first tone, third tone. Is it A, B, C, or D? We have hands. We've got an eye looking up to the left at something. We have a pencil. And we have some crossroads. We have some crossroads. Tianbi, everybody. Tianbi, what do we got? Tianbi, Seoul. Seoul has a Chrome extension that... Oh, does it just translate that? Tianbi. We have over 40 people here. Only 7 votes. Can we get 20 votes? Don't be shy. If you don't know, that's totally fine. Just guess. You got a 25% chance of guessing correctly. 25% chance, of guessing correctly. Everybody, I just sprayed some tea. Whoops. 25% chance of guessing correctly, y'all. We have 40. So we have qianbi, first tone, third tone. Qianbi. I have nothing here. Hey, it fluctuates. Some people got to go to work. Tianbi. Let's get some votes, everybody. Tianbi. Let's get some votes. 25% chance of getting it right. What's going on, Johnny? Steffi. Oh, Steffi, I thought you left. You're still here. Nice. Tianbi. 15 votes. Can we get a few more votes? Tianbi. Let's get a few more votes. What is Tianbi? All right, we're going to release this poll. Now, drum roll, please. If you said... I'm going to reveal the answer in just a moment. If you said C, you're correct. Tianbi is pencil. All right, good. Okay, shou. What is shou? Go ahead, type in the chat. Shou, is that D, F, A, or B? A, B, D, or F? A, B, D, or F? Type in the chat. I want to see the chat go crazy. Shou. A, B, D, or F? I want everyone's answers in the chat. A, B, D, or F? Sol says A. Eric says A. Steffi wrote shou. Jenna says A. I have nothing here says A. Steffi says A. Moma says B. My Simple Alex says A. Nice. Everyone's casting some votes in the chat. Did you all hear the blue jay outside? Got a lot of birds over here. All right. We got some people saying A. We got some people saying B. We want to know what is shou. Shou. This character. Shou. Go ahead, type it. Jenna says, I hear a parakeet in my room. Whoa. Jenna has a parakeet. That's pretty cool. Okay. If you said A, you're correct. Shou means hand. Awesome. Okay. All right. So we had pencil. We had hand. All right. Now what about... Oh, whoa. What about lukou? All right. We have B, D, E, or F. B, D, E, or F. Let me know in the chat. Lukou. Which one is it? B, D, E, or F? Which one is it? B, D, E, or F? We got some people saying D. We got some people saying E. Nice. I'm going to guess D. I'm learning as I go. Nice. All right. Yes. D. Lukou. Nice. Intersection. All right. Yeah, so then so we have 眼睛, which is eyes. Na means to hold. So that would be E. And 宾馆 is a way of saying hotel. 宾馆 is a way of saying hotel. I gave them all away, unfortunately, because I have to go, y'all. I have to go. I do have some upcoming live streams scheduled. Right, I've got some doing a members only live stream too. So YouTube, I'm doing some membership. So consider supporting the channel. Your support goes a long way. There can be some members only live streams and chats and stuff like that. Priority reply to comments. And of course, if you join the Chinese dojo, right, you're going to get my personal feedback. And I'm going to personally walk you through becoming or sounding fluent when you speak Chinese. All right, I'm going to help you learn how to pronounce every single sound in Mandarin Chinese. It's not just tones. Fully comprehensive pronunciation course. Fully comprehensive pronunciation course where we go over every single initial, final, sound, syllable, everything. All right, you are going to learn how to sound like a native within 3 months. Within 3 months. So I would highly recommend that. Thanks to everyone who has joined the dojo. This has been really awesome. Yeah, I look forward to seeing everyone soon. But yeah, we did some Chinese reading. I guess I'll read through this one more time. I'll read through the article one more time. As I read this, go ahead and practice parsing out the tones and see if you can hear some of the vocabulary that we learned today. That would be excellent. Mito says 3 months. How many hours? Well, so the videos you watch on your own time. So there's about 10 hours of videos, and the videos include follow along like practice. Okay, so you watch those on your own time. You do the quizzes on your own time as well. There's about 10 hours of video, about 15 to 20 hours of quizzes, and about 15 to 30 hours of practice where you record your voice, you read, send the audio recordings to me, and it's really easy. It's all done right on the platform. And then within 24 to 48 hours, I give you personalized feedback. So I recommend that you spend, a couple hours every other day through the program, and then that would help you. That would allow you to get through the program within 3 months. Yeah. All right, so here we go. Lucy says, 对不起老师，我来晚了. I was at school. No problem. No problem, Lucy. Soul says, I think I easily smashed past the 30-hour mark with the practice lessons, and I'm only halfway through. That's right. Look, you can, like, the math here, it breaks out to me being your one-on-one coach for $6 an hour if you do it super fast, right? If you're on the lower end of the hours. If you spend more time in the practice, right? If you actually spend toward the upper end of, if you do like 50 hours, 60 hours by the end of the course, it's like $3 an hour. It's like $3 an hour to go through the lessons that I created and to get my feedback. Okay. So let's see if we can parse out our vocabulary words. Here we go to wrap up today's lesson. All right. Please follow along and listen along. 纪念中国人民抗日战争暨世界反法西斯战争胜利80周年大会在京隆重举行。9月3日，纪念中国人民抗日战争暨世界反法西斯战争胜利80周年大会在北京天安门广场隆重举行。中共中央总书记、国家主席、中央军委主席习近平发表重要讲话。这 是中共中央总书记、国家主席、中央军委主席习近平检阅受阅部队。Awesome. Well, there it is all. There it is. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on the live. Thank you for wanting to learn Mandarin Chinese the right way. Thank you for supporting my channel. At the very least, I know it sounds funny to have to ask, but if you appreciate this kind of content, if you like this type of video, this type of live stream, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. I know it's kind of funny, but it does actually tremendously help. It tremendously helps me in the algorithm, and it helps this channel reach more people who want to learn Mandarin Chinese the right way. So please hit that notification bell so you're notified of any videos or live streams, and make sure you're subscribed. And with that said, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Lucy says, I've spent a lot of time practicing, so I haven't completed as many lessons. I'll spend some time tonight and on the weekend, though. That's okay, Lucy. Oh, Lucy, you're so sweet. That's totally fine. I completely understand. You were touring with your choir. That's incredible. Everybody, Lucy's Chinese pronunciation and Seoul, they're both doing incredibly well. Thanks so much, Seoul. Thank you, everybody, so much. And again, please subscribe, hit that notification bell. It really, really does do a tremendous amount for me and this channel, and for everyone else out there who wants to learn Mandarin Chinese, who wants better Mandarin Chinese resources, and who may not know about this channel yet. It helps me, it helps us reach them. So thank you so much, everybody. 谢谢大家，很期待下次在我的直播间见到你。I'm very excited and looking forward to being able to meet you in my next live stream. Thanks so much, everybody. 再见. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.